Well, that fuels what I was going to do there. Aye. So we're going to defer it. Hey, Jenny, what do you need on it?
I think that's
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday, August 9th City Council agenda session. I will call this meeting to order. The Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation will be led by myself. If would you please stand and face the flag? Render the proper salute and repeat after me. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome. We have no special presentation this evening. I will take a motion on our minutes. We have a motion on our minutes with a proper second, and I will, without objection, accept those. Before we start, I would like to welcome Mayor Tim Kelly and his wife Jenny to our meeting this evening, and thank you for your attendance. Madam Clerk, under ordinances on final reading, community development, item A, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 2 by adding Article 16, Chattanooga Department of Community Development, including the Office of Family Empowerment Advisory Board.
Move approval.
Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, under planning, we have a final reading. Item B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone an unaddressed property in the 7500 block of Stanford Gap Road from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse 0 lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Smith, followed by Dr. Burrs.
Thank you, Chair. Karen, do you mind coming up real quick? Last week, there was an amendment that I had made to this, and I would just like to, that is in this reading. Can you read that condition with the amended change?
Yes, the third condition of this ordinance is provide a 7-foot-high privacy fence on the development side of the buffer along the southern property line.
Thank you so much. Move approval.
Thank you. Dr. Burrs?
Second.
Do we have a motion to approve with a second? Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries on final reading. Thank you, council. We have ordinances on first reading. Planning, item A, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone part of a property located at 1200 Judd Road from M1 manufacturing zone to C3 central business zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do see an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Hill, I see your light.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. We are going to, I'd like to make a motion to defer this 1 week until 8/16.
Second.
Do have a motion to defer until August 16th with a second. Questions, comments before we vote? Councilwoman Noel, we're good?
We are good.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is deferred until August 16th. Madam Clerk, item B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 6860 and 6874 Stanford Gap Road from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse 0 lot line zone, subject to certain conditions.
Dr. Burrs.
Mr. Chair, I don't need a total presentation of this, but there are some conditions that I want read in, please.
Absolutely. Karen?
There are 3 conditions in the ordinance that I will read in, and then I'll comment on the other 2. The first one, provide a stone or brick entry signage. Number 2, provide streetlights within the development. Number 3, provide a landscape buffer along Standiford Gap Road to screen the stormwater facilities from the right-of-way. Condition 4 or 5, reference deed restrictions, and we received guidance from the city attorney's office that these are perhaps not best handled as conditions, but I believe that the applicant developer would like to speak to their commitment to those items.
And
Very
he's
good.
here.
Is
if
the
you would-
applicant, I'm
Yes.
sorry, is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Dr. Burrs, you'd like any questions to the applicant?
Yes, he'd like to read into the record what he's agreed to with the neighborhood.
Yes, thank you. We were aware that the last two conditions would need to be deed restrictive conditions, and I just want to say for the record that we have submitted those. Councilwoman Burrs has those. We've sent those to the community. We will allow no more than 20% rental in this, and we will restrict that by deed, and we will also restrict any VRBO vacation lodging where that can't happen. And that is all in our covenants and restrictions that I've supplied to the community and to Councilwoman Burrs.
Very good. And I was double checking with the city attorney to ensure that we did not need an amendment, Dr. Burrs, and we do not.
Yeah, so I move approval.
All right, I have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Thank you. Madam Clerk, item C, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 823 Dallas Road from C2 Convenience Commercial Zone and M2 Light Industrial Zone to ECX3 Urban Edge Commercial Mixed Use Zone.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Hill.
I move to approve.
I have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item D, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 6422 Hickson Pike from R1 residential zone to RT1 residential townhouse zone subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I do not see an applicant. Is there any opposition present? I do not see any opposition. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have spoken with the applicant, and they would prefer that this case be deferred until September 6th, and that is in the form of a motion.
We have a motion to defer till September 6th. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are deferred until September 6th.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, item E, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 2730 Cannon Avenue and 4 unaddressed properties in the 2700 block of Cannon Avenue from R1 residential zone to RTZ residential townhouse to a lot line zone subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? I have an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll? Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item F, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone properties located at 1277, 1283, and 1291 Northmore Road from R1 residential zone to RT1 residential townhouse zone.
Is the applicant present? I do see an applicant. Is there any opposition present? Are you the applicant, sir, or the opposition? Understood. Councilman Hester, hit your light for me, please.
Yes, the applicant has withdrawn. You're correct.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to withdraw.
Second.
We do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is withdrawn. Thank you, sir. Item G, Madam Clerk.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1023 East 13th Street from R3 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll, would you hit your light? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke with the applicant, and I am going to make a motion to defer until August the 16th because I really do need to meet with him at the site.
Very good. I have a motion to defer to August 16th with a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is deferred till August 16th. Madam Clerk, item H.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance so as to rezone property located at 1100 East 13th Street from R3 residential zone to UGC urban general commercial zone, subject to certain conditions.
Is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? Councilwoman Knoll. You're on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, need to meet with him at the site, had a discussion over the phone. So I'll make a motion to move to defer until the 16th.
Have a motion to defer until August 16th. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is deferred until August 16th. Thank you. Madam Clerk, on item I, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, Article 5 zoning regulations, Division 1, R1 residential zone, Section 3844 height and area regulations, 7 minimum suburban infill lot frontage and setback, and to amend Division 30 urban infill lot compatibility option.
Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm still having a little bit of heartburn over this suburban infill lot frontage. It concerns me a little bit. I have spoken to Ms. Rennick, and we've talked about maybe deferring this for a couple of weeks just so that we can have a little bit more discussion about this. So I make a motion to defer until August the 23rd.
Have a motion to defer until August 23rd with a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item is deferred until August 23rd. Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Councilman. There's no objection to council. Items J, K, and L I will take as a package. Seeing no objection, Madam Clerk, J, K, L.
Item J, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, Article 5 zone regulations, Division 15, C3 Central Business District by deleting in entirety Division 15A applicable C3 standards for properties rezoned to C3 after July 13, 2021. Item K, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, Article 5 zone regulations, Division 14, UGC urban general commercial zone, Section 3820A, building height and mass, Section 38212, auto-oriented uses, Section 38213, appeals from the Chattanooga Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission, and Division 16, C4 Planned Commerce Center Zone, Section 38253, maximum building height deviation. Item L, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, Article 4, general regulations to delete its entirety, Section 3832, lot size, lot frontage, setback not to be reduced, exception, and renumbering the sections appropriately.
Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments on items J, K, and L? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Items J, K, and L pass. Under police, Madam Clerk, item M, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 16, Article 4, Section 1660, Section 1661D and 1661E, Section 1663, Section 1664C through 1664G, and Section 1666 relating to the Police Advisory and Review Committee.
Councilman Henderson.
Thanks, sir. As far some recommendations from our park board to amend ordinance. I've reviewed them. I think there are some good amendments. So I'm moving.
Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Under resolutions, council office, Madam Clerk, item A.
A resolution confirming the appointment of Melinda Hickey to the Police Advisory and Review Committee for District 6 with a term beginning August 9, 2022 and expiring August 9, 2026.
Dr. Burrs. Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, under economic development, item B, please.
A resolution confirming the surplus of properties located at 5006 and 5010 Rosefield Boulevard, further identified as tax map number 168 OC 012 and tax map number 168 OC 010.
Madam Vice Chair.
Move approval.
Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item C, please.
A resolution authorizing the interim administrator for the Department of Economic Development to award up to $151,000 to the Electric Power Board, EPB, as the City of Chattanooga's contribution for the installation and continuing provision over 5 years of EPB fiber optics, world-class high-speed internet and Wi-Fi service in the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Convention and Trade Center.
Madam Vice Chair,
Move approval.
have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item D, please.
A resolution of the City Council of Chattanooga, Tennessee, approving an economic impact plan for the South Broad District Plan area and authorizing the appropriate city officials to take all actions necessary to implement said plan.
Madam Vice Chair,
Yes, I'm excited about this incoming project, and I'm grateful for economic development as well as the community members that participated in the South Broad Street plan that was 2 or 3 years ago. It's finally happening, so I move to approve.
do have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? I would like to make a disclaimer. I have discussed this item with the city attorney. I own property that is outside of the area of the economic impact plan located near South Broad Street. I've owned the property for over 10 years and well before this proposal and project came up on our agenda. I do not benefit from any tax increment financing on behalf of my property other than any other property owner in the city outside of the TIF district. As such, I will exercise my right to vote on this issue because I do not have any direct financial benefit. I do have a motion to approve. I do have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item D carries. Madam Clerk, item E.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Chattanooga, Tennessee, authorizing the creation and appointing the directors of the Sports Authority of the County of Hamilton and the City of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Madam Vice Chair,
Move approval.
I have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item E carries. Item F, Madam Clerk.
A resolution authorizing the interim administrator for the Department of Economic Development to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Chattanooga Professional Baseball LLC, DBA, the Chattanooga Lookouts, to provide a commitment of professional baseball in a new ballpark as described in the South Broad District Economic Impact Plan.
Councilman Henderson, followed by Councilman Smith.
Move approval of the MOU.
I have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item F carries. Madam Clerk, item G.
A resolution authorizing the interim director for the Department of Economic Development to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Perimeter Properties LLC, Pike Properties LLC, and Gateway View LLC to provide a commitment of work with the city, county, and sports authority to facilitate the development of the South Broad District and to donate property for a new multi-use sports venue that is governed by a newly created sports authority.
Councilman Henderson, followed by Councilman Smith.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item H.
A resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an interlocal cooperative agreement, multi-use stadium project with Hamilton County, Tennessee, and the Sports Authority of the County of Hamilton and the City of Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Councilman Smith. Motion to approve. Do we have a second? Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, item I, please.
A resolution requiring the Sports Authority to report certain information annually to the City Council.
Clear the board. There we go. Board's clear. Item I. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, sir. First, I do want to thank this council for entertaining this resolution on short notice, but I believe it does provide for some transparency and some oversight with this council concerning the revenues that will be generated through this TIF. So I move for approval.
I have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments on this item before we vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item carries. Madam Clerk, under Human Resources without objection, items J and K will take as a package.
Item J, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Peter Yakubimovich as Special Police Officer unarmed for the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority, Carter, to do special duty as prescribed herein, subject to certain conditions. Item K, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Thomas Begu as Special Police Officer unarmed for the Chattanooga Area Regional Transportation Authority, Carter, to do special duty as prescribed herein, subject to certain conditions.
Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Items J and K carry. Under Mayor's Office, item L, please, Madam Clerk.
A resolution to confirm the mayor's appointment of Todd Morgan to a 5-year term beginning on August 9, 2022, and then ending August 9, 2027 on the Historic Zoning Commission.
Have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. Under Planning, Madam Clerk, item M.
A resolution to delegate review authority for eligible subdivision plats to the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Regional Planning Agency staff as detailed in Tennessee Code Annotated Section 13-3402 and updated by the adoption of Public Chapter 994.
Have a motion to approve. I do have several seconds. All those questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item M carries. Madam Clerk, under Parks and Public Works Transportation, item N.
A resolution to accept as city property a multi-use path, landscaping, conduit, pedestrian light pole foundations, and $41,500 for light fixtures in 900 West 33rd Street from J.A. Feld and Company, Inc., developer of Foundry 33 for the Alton Park connector.
Madam Vice Chair,
Move approval.
have a motion to approve. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Item carries. All right. Under Purchases, Mr. Goldberg, are you in the house?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two purchases tonight. First is Public Works, new blanket contract for grounds maintenance at landfills. 3 bids were received and the award goes to Lovin Contracting Company, Inc. as the best bid, meeting specifications. The low bidder was unable to fulfill the agreement. This will be a 4-year contract with an annual amount not to exceed $165,000. And second item is from Treasury, new blanket contract for printing, folding, stuffing, mailing, and postage for tax bills, summons, and past due notices. 3 bids were received and the award goes to Diversified Companies LLC as the best bid, meeting specifications. The low bidder was not selected due to past performance issues. This will be a 4-year contract with an annual amount not to exceed $55,000.
I have a motion to approve purchases this evening. I do have a second. Questions, comments before we vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Items carry.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Goldberg, we have no RFPs. We have no emergency purchases.
Correct.
We'll move into committee reports. Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilwoman Knoll? Dr. Burrs? Councilman Henderson?
Thank you, sir. I would like to report that we need to have, or I'm going to announce, a short-term vacation rental ad hoc committee, August the 30th at 12:30, where we will receive an update on the progress that's been made and also help provide some direction.
Will that be in the conference room, sir?
That will be in the council conference room.
Thank you very much. August 30th. Thank you for that announcement. Councilwoman Hill? Councilman Smith? Councilman Hester?
We did meet today and we'll meet again in 2 weeks.
Madam Vice Chair?
It's the Equity and Community Development Committee. Equity and Community Development Committee met today. We got an update on neighborhood services, code enforcement, as well as a presentation on the West Side Evolves project.
Thank you
Thank
so much. That concludes our committee reports. I do have a spot on our agenda before we recognize persons wishing to address council for Mayor Kelly, if you'd like to come.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Council. Good evening. It's great to see you all, and I just wanted to thank you and congratulate each of you because tonight's vote on the stadium was a demonstration of your vision and a massive step forward for the future of this community. After decades of plans and studies and public meetings, the transformation of Chattanooga's long neglected Western Gateway will begin at long last. And together, we will create a thriving community that will increase prosperity and quality of life in our city for generations to come. This project will conservatively generate tens of millions of dollars in new money for schools, and it will provide millions more in new permanent tax revenue to pave roads, invest in infrastructure, and support workers not only in the South Broad District, but across our city and county. But this is about more than just increasing our tax base. This is about new housing, new commercial space for our small businesses, new living wage jobs, and new public green spaces and trails. It's about creating a vibrant new district that will help attract and retain talent in Chattanooga and act as a big, beautiful welcome sign to visitors coming into town. This is about connecting our neighborhoods, bringing us one step closer to one Chattanooga. In summary, this is about a huge leap forward towards becoming the best city in the country. But before I go on, I want to thank everybody who helped get us to this momentous day. First off, I want to thank my closest partner and good friend, Mayor Jim Coppinger, for everything he has done over the past decade to move this project forward. It's because of his leadership, his passion, and his vision that we are here today celebrating this home run for the future of our community. And thank you as well to Senator Todd Gardenhire and Representative Patsy Hazelwood for sponsoring and advancing the legislation that made this project possible, as well as all the members of our local state delegation who supported it. I also want to thank the City Council, especially Vice Chairwoman Dotley, in whose district this project resides, as well as our county commission, and specifically Councilman and Commissioner Smith, who had the great honor and distinction of voting for this twice. And I want to thank the members of the City and the County Industrial Development Board for their vision on this catalytic project. I could not be more grateful for all of your steady, mature leadership throughout this process. And I look forward to continuing to work with you as the South Broad District grows into reality. Thank you also to Perimeter Properties, not only for donating the land for the new stadium, but also for their steadfast commitment to ensuring our Western Gateway becomes a real jewel and a textbook example of how a community can renew itself. Their leadership, vision, and patience will allow us to revitalize South Broad the right way. And finally, I want to thank the Lookouts, their fans, and their large and diverse ownership group for their love of Chattanooga, their commitment to staying here, and their partnership in the construction of the stadium that will spur a generational revitalization in the South Broad District. So what's next? What's now? Well, now it's time to look ahead to the exciting work of transforming our Western Gateway into a spectacular new community. Great cities are made up of great spaces, and with Master Developer Jim Irwin's vision and leadership, I'm confident that the South Broad District will become one of the most epic, beautiful riverfront spaces in the country, and I know he believes that, or he wouldn't have taken on the job. When Chattanooga revitalized its downtown following the construction of the aquarium, which I might add happened despite vocal opposition from the same predictable quarters, cities from all over the world sent delegations here to study what we did and how we did it, and I feel sure the same thing will happen again. And although this story really isn't about the Lookouts, it's no small thing that your wise decision today means we get to keep our historic team. The second oldest in the nation, I might add, which otherwise we would have lost. As you know, the old AT&T field was clearly out of compliance with Major League Baseball rules that we did not write and we can't change or argue. And had we failed to act, the Lookouts would have simply had to pack up and go. Jenny and I look forward to ball games in the new stadium and enjoying its more open, family-friendly environs and not staring directly into the sun. And of course, when the Lookouts aren't playing, this venue will be home to countless memories for Chattanoogans and regional residents alike in the decades to come, from concerts to school events to food drives and fireworks. It will truly serve as a year-round public asset for our region. And I'll say it one more time. This project really isn't about the stadium, and it's not just about the surrounding new development, as great as that will be. It's primarily about the renewal of the entire South Broad District and community, which will ripple across our city and county. And that's why I'm committed to ensuring that as the new South Broad District develops and grows, those who live nearby will have every opportunity to grow and prosper along with it. In the coming months, my team will be working alongside the developers and the community to draw up a community benefits agreement to create and preserve affordable housing in the area and to provide residents with pathways to new living wage jobs And we'll also be working to ensure that as much of the stadium as possible is built with local hands, using local contractors and local labor. And for the first time, with the creation of the Alton Park Connector, we will be connecting an urban neighborhood to the Riverwalk, opening up alternate transportation options for Alton Park residents and increasing access to jobs and shopping throughout the South Broad corridor, bringing together two formerly disconnected Chattanooga communities. And I'll close with this. I normally don't talk this long, you know. The sad fact is, and it's a fact, that there is nobody left alive in Chattanooga who's ever really seen a golden era of prosperity here. Let that sink in. It's the truth. And there has never, ever been an era of prosperity in our history that included all Chattanoogans. And because of that fact, unfortunately, too many people in our community lack the vision, the courage, and the confidence in the future to imagine what might be a better city for all of us. But as we look to the future, my hope is that today will mark the beginning of a new era of investment and inclusive growth in Chattanooga, in which we fundamentally shift our trajectory upwards and forwards. When we say One Chattanooga, it means changing our mindset to growing the pie for everyone, not just fighting over the scraps of an old broken world. It means investing in our future, not trapping ourselves in the past by refusing to believe in the possible. It means looking ahead with hope and with courage to what we can and will accomplish together, and overcoming the fear and cynicism that for too long has held us back. Folks, quality of life is what sets cities apart these days, and it's up to us to leverage these God-given natural resources to create high-quality urban spaces that bring happiness and opportunity to everyone who calls Chattanooga home, as well as our friends across Hamilton County and the region. I look forward to continuing to work with all of you to make this happen. As the famous scientist Jonas Salk said, hope lies in dreams, in imagination, and in the courage of those who dare to make dreams into reality. Well, today you have demonstrated that courage, and thank you for that. And congratulations again on being part of this important and pivotal piece of Chattanooga history. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll now move into recognition of persons wishing to address the council. And first person would be Councilwoman Hill.
I really appreciate what the mayor had to say about all the different people that were involved, but I think that it's really just as important for us to take a second and say a big thank you to Jermaine Freeman and to Brent Goldberg, who have been carrying the water on this for a very long time. I think they've had a lot of really late nights, and I know that this body has asked a hell of a lot of questions, and we've wanted a lot of details because our goal has always been to benefit the most Chattanoogans we possibly could while also protecting our economy in every way possible, and they've really been over backwards. So thank you both very much.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I'll kind of echo the sentiment with, we've asked a lot of questions and you provided a lot of answers. We've asked questions on behalf of constituents, non-constituents, relatives in other cities, I promise you. It's been quite interesting. But because of that, I think in your diligence in answering our questions, I not only know more about this process, but know more about this TIF than I think any TIF that's ever been created. And that's good. And I think that at times it was painful to dig in and try to put the pieces together. But Brent and Jermaine, you really helped us understand not only the economic foundation of this, but why I think it will work. And I believe it will work. And I really appreciate you spending very long hours in answering our questions in depth. And I have tremendous faith in the ability of this. So, thank you, Councilwoman Hill, for starting that. Any other comments from council before we move into persons wishing to address council? Okay. If anyone wishes to address council this evening, if you would please come to the podium. And while we are doing that, I'm going to ask Attorney Noblet to please read our rules to address council. And we'll get 3 minutes on the clock. Got a thumbs up from the back. So
Okay, it's that time again. At the end of each council business meeting, the chair can recognize members of the public that wish to address the council. Here's your rules. Each speaker wishing to address the council can be recognized at the microphone up front provided for that purpose. You can't have more than 3 minutes to speak. You can address the council only upon matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority, and you can't address them about issues that are not under the authority of the council or are regulated by other government bodies or agencies. Can't use vulgar or obscene language, nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others. Address your comments to the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. Only do it one time a day, and you can't have disorderly conduct or disrupting a public meeting, which is prohibited by Tennessee law, and you commit that offense if you substantially obstruct or interfere with a meeting by physical action or verbal utterance with the intent to prevent or disrupt the meeting occurring. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Reverend Anthony Chapman. I'm representative of the lesser herd in the 1813 Wilson Street area. Two concerns that I'd like to address with the council. The first being this election we just had where we had a runoff. There were several questions that was posed to me about the council taking precedent of having a caretaker or a interim running for the position that she was holding the spot for, they were holding the spot for. And in this case, in this last election, there was a winner in the candidate, but not by the 50+1. So there was a runoff. Our question in the community that was kept coming up was if the one candidate wins by the majority and not have a 51% of the council, does that person win, or does the council decide to set precedent again by allowing an interim to hold the position for another term, for a term? That was the first question. Second question was on the stadium, the impact disparity study that should have been done or have been done. How does that affect the voting, seeing that they're talking about bringing more houses into the community, more at probably the same price that the riverfront is at right now, and not being affordable to all residents? And will African Americans and brown and black companies get opportunity to be part of the process and get the jobs that y'all are claiming, or that the mayor is claiming, that will be afforded to it? But if you could answer the question on the voting, if y'all going to allow Ms. Neely to continue to hold the seat if she does not have the majority after this election comes up, the recall election, not recall, but the runoff come up. Are y'all going to allow her to stay in that position, or does that go to who has the most votes? I will sit down and listen to your answer.
Madam Vice Chair, I see your light.
Mr. Chapman, I'll respond to that. In regards to elections, take precedent over any election. Elections are ran as they've been run, and so nothing fraudulent or anything else has been done. It's unfortunate that misinformation has been spread apparently to you and to others, but it's incumbent upon every candidate, anybody that decides to run for office, no matter who they are, to be familiar with election laws and the potential outcomes of any election. And just from a show of hands from my colleagues up here, how many of you all have participated in a runoff because you did not receive 50+1? So as you can see, thank you, Chris Anderson. Also, our Mayor Kelly, who just left, I think everybody was aware that he also was in a runoff. So it's not us deciding that, oh, well, we want to keep this person, so that's what we're going to do. But it has happened, not just to, as you saw, members of this council. Also, I'm sure you're aware of the runoff with Mayor Kelly and his opponent, but has happened many times. And typically, if there are 3 people in an election, you can count on a runoff most of the time. So it's incumbent upon candidates to be informed and educated about the process so that when these things come up, they are aware of those things, and that the community is informed about what is correct and what's accurate. So again, Mr. Chapman, I'm sorry about any misinformation, anything you received that was inaccurate, but thank you for asking that question, because, you know, it is important that people know that we are not, you know, we all have to earn our votes. Every person up there has to, so no one is entitled to skip the process. So thank you, Mr. Chapman, for that question. Well, because there is a runoff, the interim stays the interim until that runoff is complete, until the election cycle is done. So currently the election cycle, it is not complete because in essence, when you look at it, no one really won that election. So because no one won, because no one got 50+1, the interim stays in place until there is absolute winner for that. So the actual election is going to August 26th through September the 10th. And again, the election is September 15th. So, so make sure you share that information and everything. And any other questions you have, I'd be happy to address you after this meeting. Okay, thank you. Just stick around for me, okay?
Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you.
Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Ms.
For
Mott.
my District 8, I definitely do not feel entitled, because I don't think any candidate that would canvass 6 days out of the week in the middle of the summer would feel entitled to anything. To my beloved District 8 community, I want to publicly thank you for your love, support, encouragement, and what has proven to be a confusing weekend. I'm grateful to see years of hard work and the spreading fresh ideas is paying off with dividends in real time. Do not be discouraged. For Galatians 6:9 says, and let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. To our city's leadership, I'm excited that 6 more weeks of work will afford me the opportunity to serve my community with you and act as a bridge of connectivity of information, communication, transparency, and intergenerational collaboration between the dais and the people. And to so many that are in this room, from organizations like Caleb, grassroots folks that have been coming back and forth, concerned citizens that have been involved in this process, I am excited because I'm seeing so many of the things that we have talked about in the community at the ground level are now being adopted by the leadership in the city. For a long time, we've talked about ideas like community land trust. We have fought for a community benefits agreement. And even though that didn't go the way that we wanted it the first time, we did not give up. And this is a testament of what can happen when we refuse to give up. Sometimes the wins are not immediate or expedient, but it pays off when we collaborate with one another, when we remain boots to the ground, and we continue to champion the things that are important to building not just one Chattanooga, but a new Chattanooga. And I'm excited because the future is just as abundant as we want it to be. And I look forward to helping to build that new Chattanooga, which each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mott. Evening, sir.
Hey, my name is John. I am from Highland Park, and my main purpose in coming up was actually to make sure that Mr. Chapman's second question gets answered about Black and brown people and the opportunities they will be afforded with the South Broad. But I figured since I was up here and I had 3 minutes, I want to make sure his question gets addressed since he's used his 3 minutes. But I know the decision has been made, but I want to talk about TIFs and in cities across the country. TIFs are seen as solutions for problems when really they're just a way to disguise economic problems. I am fully in agreement with the development of South Broad and everything that Mayor Kelly came up here and spoke about. I am on board with that vision. The challenge I have is seeing the economic monoculture that is the baseball team as the driver. What gave me pause was when Mayor Kelly pointed out that they couldn't make decisions about that team, that our hands were tied. These anchor tenants that is going to be driving this, the anchor tenant is the term used for that team, can become a ball and chain tenant. Just ask Nashville and the Titans, ask Oakland and the Raiders. and including multi-purpose complex like the Raiders and the Oakland A's had together. It was neither a good baseball stadium nor a good football stadium, and they both are leaving or have left that stadium. So I give pause to the TIF and the mono culture economic policy of triple down and ripple out from one big business. And I just wanted to state that here today as my position, but also just make sure that Mr. Chapman's question about opportunities afforded to the people in that neighborhood and their businesses and not just large contractors gets addressed today. I just need that time. You can have the rest of it.
Okay.
Thank you. I do have a lot to share, Dottie.
Yes, thank you so much for asking. And Anthony, thank you for asking as well. I apologize for that. Yes, we will be working on a community benefits agreement. I'm very excited about that. That is something that was brought up from the community. And so I'm in the process of getting all of that scheduled, but I can put that out. We will be having our first meeting on Monday, August 22nd, 6 p.m. right here in these council chambers. Caleb will be leading the discussion with that. And so I am very excited about that. Through that, we'll be able to identify the areas that will be most beneficial to the community from the community. So that is the starting point for us. And that's possibly the potential of 2 community benefits agreements. So we are in a good place with this, and I'm excited to see how this is going to impact not just the current residents of these neighborhoods, but those that may possibly come as well. So thank you so much for re-asking his question too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other persons wishing to address council this evening?
Curtis Lancaster.
Evening, sir.
Decision has already been made, been spoken about. Like I said, I'm all for the future of development, but I think this stadium is a big mistake, but you already have voted on that. But 2 things I have questions about. What is the progress of what being done for our homeless people that's down on 10th and 11th? And what is the progress? What are there more we gonna do to get this situation rectified about the homeless?
Mr. Lancaster, if I could, Jody, will you raise your hand? If you'll turn right around and talk to the mayor's chief of staff right there, I think he'll probably have some information that involved ARP funds that he would like to share with you. So I appreciate your question, sir. Thank you. Council, anyone else wishing to address tonight? If not, council, I will ask for an adjournment.
Move adjournment.
We have it.
Yes.